Hello and welcome back to All Doll Love. Today I will be doing the historical characters tag as originated by Kirsten from This American Girl Reads. I'll be doing her questions on the older characters, and then I've also written my own questions for the newer historical dolls. As background, I've been dressing my dolls in several different outfits, so I've just got B-roll of that for your enjoyment. If you have questions about any of the outfits, feel free to leave them down below. So, with that said, let's get into it. The first question is for Molly. What doll or item is absent from your collection? Not necessarily your grail, but the doll or item that would fill a void. So, two dolls that kind of are grails, but would also fill voids for me are Cecile and Lindsay. Cecile because I have Marie Grace and I need her best friend. And obviously Cecile is a lot of people's grail doll and I really want her even though I have no idea if I'll ever actually be able to get her in my price range. And then Lindsay because she's the first girl of the year and something about her really clicks with me. And then for items, a grail item is definitely Kit's desk. I would love that roll top desk because it's just like what I had in high school. I got that as a hand-me-down from my dad, so I would love to have Kit's roll top desk too. Another item that's not going to be as hard to find, I just haven't managed to get one yet, is a wheelchair for one of my dolls, Elle, who's an ambulatory wheelchair user. And the next question for Kirsten. What languages do you know and how did you learn them? Was it easy or difficult? So, I'm a native English speaker, and then I also speak Spanish. I started because my elementary school had a dual immersion program, and then I just kept doing it as like my foreign language requirement through middle and high school. However, despite all of this experience with Spanish, I am actually really bad at it. Like, I only know the bare minimum. I don't know what exactly went wrong in my education with that, but on paper, I know a lot of Spanish. In practice, I don't. I just don't have a good language learning brain, I guess. And then the last of the three original dolls, Samantha. Have you ever given a doll as a gift? If you had to give a doll from your collection, which would you give? So I have given Lainey as a gift to my partner. And we've recently merged collections, kind of. Um, and then, but if I had to give a doll from my collection as a gift, that's a much trickier question. Yeah, I think it would depend on the person and what doll I think they would connect with most. Next up is Felicity. What is something missing from the historical books that you wish AG would address? I'm going to start with my answer that's less serious. I want something on the Oregon Trail. I know we already have Kirsten, but I want someone a little bit later, a little bit further west. And I think it would be really funny in kind of a dark way if she was best friends with some girl with the Donner Party. And it's like, oh no, they're going on ahead. Like, we'll see you further down the trail, hopefully, like at a settle, like once we're both settled. Um, and there's just that like sprinkle in there. Her last name's Donner, something like that. Anyways, another idea I had was for the Salem witch trials because that is such a big thing. I feel like maybe not like the biggest thing, obviously, but it's definitely a thing covered in like high school history classes that totally could have an AG character. Um, but more than anything, I just want something other than the 20th century. We've covered that. That's what all the girls out right now are. Like, is anybody out now who's not cubed and is prior to the 20th century? I can't think of anyone. So, that's my real answer. And then Addy. If you could change something in the world to make it better, what would you choose? I think I would just want to make people kinder and more empathetic. Like sometimes I think people online, in person, regardless, just need to take a step back, take a deep breath, and approach a situation with kindness and empathy. And yes, not always the case. Sometimes you're talking to a bigot who has no hope. But sometimes, if that's the case, online at least, you don't always need to step in and engage. I don't know. Just more kindness, I think. Josefina is the next one. Have your dolls brought you any healing? So I think in some ways they have. They definitely bring me a lot of joy and comfort from especially from dressing them and doing their hair. I find it to be really like ritualistic, just getting the girlies dressed up. It's something I really enjoy. But I don't know if I would say healing per se. Um, but I think I do get comfort from them, if nothing else. Next up is Kit. If you could write a historical mystery or commission someone to write one, who would you focus on? What would it be about? And your thoughts on the subject. My gut instinct is to say Claudie for this question. Um, though I'm not familiar enough with her time period, and to be honest, I haven't read her books yet. Um, so I couldn't say what exactly it would be about. If not Claudie, I think one of the other like newer dolls. I would love to see more books from them and about them. Like giving them something just like a little bit more, something a little more unique. Next question. Kaya, what is the bravest thing you've ever done? This is something I had to think a lot about before I could come up with an answer to. Um, but I think for me, the bravest thing I've done is maybe more on a whim than I should have. Not that I didn't think it out, but I went to college all the way across the country from my family and friends and like everything I'd ever known. Um, just took a really big step out there. And it was really good for me. So I think that's the bravest thing I've ever done. Alright, so that wraps up all of Kirsten's questions. And the next ones are my questions. My first question is Julie, in what ways have you struggled to fit into the world? So as a kid, I didn't always know when people didn't want to be my friend. And so in that way, I was kind of just an awkward kid. And then later coming out as queer, never an easy thing, especially in today's day and age. But I think those are the biggest ways I've struggled. Otherwise, I've gotten pretty lucky with finding good people to surround myself with. The next question is Rebecca. How has your family been involved in your collecting? So when I was a kid, I grew up collecting. My parents would get me dolls and items as presents, and so would other family. And now that I've gotten back into collecting lately, my mom keeps her eye out at garage sales and the like for any well-priced dolls for me, which is really nice of her. Okay, and then next I'm doing Mary Grace and Cecile together. What's an experience that demonstrates how a childhood friendship was/is meaningful to you? My best friend since first grade recently gifted me their childhood number 22, which is their look-alike doll. And that moment, like, had us both almost crying. Like, we were both very emotional. Because they're clearing out space, selling off their collection, and I was helping them organize stuff and whatnot. Next up is Caroline. What is a time when you've had to stand up to something that was wrong or unfair? So for this, I've chosen kind of a more serious moment. It just kind of goes along with the question. Um, but a couple years ago, I had to report a professor for inappropriate and offensive comments. And I think that's been my probably biggest moment of like standing up and saying something about something that wasn't right. Mary Ellen, if you could go anywhere in the world, where would it be? So to me, this is a really interesting question because I'm not really sure. Since I don't really dream of traveling to specific places. Um, like I guess like Europe would be cool. I like seeing like historical places. Um, so anything like that would be cool. Melody, what are your experiences with music? Have you ever played an instrument or sang? So yes, I have played an instrument. In third and fourth grade, I was in orchestra and I played violin. I was really bad at it. Um, and then from fourth to ninth grade, I was in choir. And I was also bad at that. But that didn't stop me from doing it until I actually found out from some other kids that they thought I was bad at it. So that put an end to that. Um, but after that, I have been in one musical. I'd been in a couple throughout those years too. But yeah, not my thing. Any type of music, not my thing. Nanea is the next question. What is something you do to help others? To be honest, I don't do any like volunteer work actively, but I do try to be a listening ear to my friends and other people in my community. I'm also very involved on my college campus. I'm in some leadership roles that allow me to give back and to help out. Okay, and then Courtney, what is your favorite form of media? Their book, movie, game, etc., and why? So my favorite thing is books. I have been an avid reader for as long as I can remember. Um, they really allow me for books allow for both an internal and external look at the protagonist and the world and what's going on. And it also requires like an increased imagination to see the world and to know what's going on, and there are less restrictions. Like I can't tell you how many times I've read books and my brain has just decided what a character looks like. No matter how many times the author says she's blonde, her blonde hair this, her if in my head she's a brunette, then she's a brunette. Like I don't know what to say, that's just how it happens. Okay. And then our penultimate question, Claudie, what is a skill that took you a long time to be good at? So, one thing that I still really struggle with and I'm still working on developing is my ability to do good research. Knowing how and what to search has not been intuitive for me, but I think I definitely am getting a lot better at it. And I've gotten a lot of chances to practice and to really hone the skill of researching, which I think is harder than a lot of people give it credit for being. Um, and then I have a second one, which is writing. I have been writing for so long, since I could write, essentially. Um, so, with that, I've had a lot of practice. And as part of being a good writer, I think it's also important to read widely, which is something I do, just to learn how other people are writing and using this skill. So, there's that. And then the final question is for the 90s twins, Nikki and Isabel. Do you have siblings? How have they impacted you? So I do have one younger sibling. And I think they have completely changed my experiences growing up. Like, I have had a completely different childhood having been an older sibling than I would have otherwise. So, yeah, sometimes for the better, sometimes not. But end of the day, completely different. So, it was my version of the AG historical characters tag. Once again, thank you to Kirsten from This American Girl Reads for coming up with the original questions. And I hope you will tune back in for another video in a couple more weeks. Bye!